Hi everybody, welcome to Watchdogs Legion, and in this video I'm going to be discussing whether it's worth buying this game cheap. But actually, you probably already know the answer, because I only ever make these videos when I know that actually, yeah, it is worth buying cheap. Because if I bought the game cheap and didn't like it, I wouldn't make the video in the first place. And to be honest, before I even buy a game, I tend to do quite a lot of research and watch a lot of gameplay to see whether I think I might like it. With Watchdogs Legion, this has been a little bit more of an interesting path than with other games. I've never played any of the previous Watchdogs games. Heard a few good things about them, but definitely heard mixed reviews about the latest version of the franchise, which came out, I'm going to say, in 2020. Lots of people felt that it wasn't as strong as the previous Watchdogs game, Watchdogs 2, which was set in San Francisco. However, the location of this game, being set in London, the capital city of the UK, where I'm from, and which I've visited many times, intrigued me. Also, you may be aware of a guy who runs the ACG YouTube channel, does lots of reviews, and he does lots of, he calls them walking the walk videos, where he'll go into an open world game such as Watchdogs Legion or Cyberpunk 2077, and he'll spend a lot of time just wandering around and just talking about how immersive the world is. You know, how does the open world work? Does it make sense? Is it logical? Is it fun? And he highly recommends Watchdogs Legion for that. So these kind of boxes were ticked, and when I saw it going for like £8 on a CD Key site, I was like, yeah, it's time to check this out. However, when I first started playing Watchdogs Legion, I really struggled to start off with. I didn't find it particularly fun, and I thought the mechanics in it were a little bit weird. So, a little bit of backstory. So, Watchdogs Legion is set in a near-future London, where kind of a fascist regime has kind of taken over, and a private military contractor has taken over the police force in London as well. And you're a member of DedSec, this hacker organisation, and your role is to take London back, to free the boroughs, to encourage the people to, I guess, rise up and force change. And it's a typical Ubisoft game in the fact that there's hundreds of side missions to do, lots of little things to do, and you have this massive open world that we can do all of this stuff in. One of the unique things about it is you don't play as a set character. You can play basically as almost any character that you see in the game. Any of these NPCs here, I can recruit them to my organisation DedSec, and I'll probably have to do a few tasks to get them to join DedSec, but then I can play as them. And each character has strong points and weak points. So, for example, this lady here, if we were to recruit her, we can see that she actually has a submachine gun. She has extra faction damage if she's fighting Albion, and when she defeats enemies, she can heal them. In fact, I think she's hacking a drone here. Yeah, she's hacking a drone. You also get very powerful NPCs who you can take, who have even more sort of special abilities. And so what you're doing is you're building up this team of operatives who have different skilled abilities. So, for example, if we take this chap here who's a builder, because he's wearing his builder's uniform, he can get into places and not be observed, won't set the alarm straight away in certain circumstances. If it's a builder's place, this lady's a police officer, so she can get into police stations without setting the alarms off. Now, you can take other characters into these places, but you need to be much more careful. This guy here is very powerful because he has an AK-47, as well as they quite like having non-lethal weapons in this game. So you have shock rifles and shock pistols that aren't actually that useful, but the good old AK-47, when you're in a fight, if stealth fails, you can use that. And you also have gadgets. So, for example, this is the AR cloak that I can put that on, and enemies can't see me for a few seconds, so I can take down people in safety, or if I'm being chased, I can use that to hide. There's a spider bot that you can use to get into difficult to reach places, and this is an electro fist, so you punch people and knock them down very, very quickly. But the thing is, all of the characters can't have all of the traits. So for example, this lady here, she's a spy, so she has a silenced pistol, a spy watch that can jam enemy weapons, a special car with missiles and a cloak, and she has a shorter injury time. So if she gets injured and goes to hospital, she can come back. So when you're doing missions, and when you're spying out missions, you can choose the correct operative for that mission. Or the other thing you can do is, if you're not quite sure how difficult a mission is, you could always send in an operative who isn't quite so skilled, who doesn't quite have all the special weapons, because if you lose them, it's not that bad, because, and you have an option to turn this on and off, there is permadeath in this game. So these operatives you can see here, these are ones that have died on missions, because there's a chance when you trigger too many enemies, and you'll get swarmed by things like drones and armed enemies, and if you've been shooting at them, they will shoot at you and they will kill you. If you're using non-lethal force like melee and stuff, there's a chance that you'll get arrested and thrown into jail, which you'll eventually get released, or you could end up in hospital and then you'll come out. But yeah, you do have permadeath, so you can't let your team go down to zero. You've got to make sure that you find and recruit new members. And that becomes really quite tactical and quite interesting. And some of the levels are difficult. In typical Ubisoft fashion, you have lots of missions that are spread all over the map, and there's tech points that you can build up to get more gadgets and skills and things like that. And these red areas you hear, these are kind of dangerous areas where you can see here, if I'm dressed as a construction worker or an Albion person, I can get into here. I can go through the main doors without triggering the alarms. If I get too close to people, it will trigger the alarms. But as you can see, there's loads of them all over the place. And the map is also split into boroughs as well. So as you do certain things in the different boroughs, they will get a level of kind of resistance, so that they can then rise up. But by doing that, it will also reveal more of these tech points. Because with tech, use tech points to unlock sort of better skills, better weapons, different variants of things that you can do, and it's all very interesting. Now, the permadeath feature of it, I did find frustrating at first when I lost some of my better operatives, but when you realise that, alright, okay, so I've lost someone, all I need to do now is not concentrate on the main mission, but go off and have a look and do some recruitment missions. Yeah, and then you get someone who basically is the same. You're like, oh, right, okay, so that's really, really good. And it enables you to approach objectives and mission in lots of different ways. And these fellas here, let's see if we can get one that we can hack. This guy. So there's lots of drones that are flying around London, and as you unlock different skills, you can hack them, like you can see here. So this guy is just really, I can just use him for reconnaissance, for spotting enemies and that sort of stuff. But some of them have guns on, and different features, so that before you go into an area, you can hijack a drone and cause mayhem on the objective to get rid of some of the enemies, to get rid of some of the turrets, to get to distract people and to kill them, and generally get them fighting each other as well. And as you improve your abilities, you can have things like the riot drones, which are the ones with the guns on. You can have them automatically attack the people who are enemies to you, which is pretty cool, and it all adds this different level of complexity and tactical planning that I've really, really enjoyed. So I'm kind of a little bit unsure as to why Watchdogs Legion garnered the negative reviews it did. I mean, the thing is, I am playing this sort of 3 years after release, so Ubisoft have had the chance to add many, many, many patches to this game. I am playing on PC, so it's running really nicely and smoothly and looks really good and sounds great as well. And it could be that people, the initial reviews, who, when you're reviewing a game, you're trying to go through it, as fast as you can, aren't you? Because you need to get that review copy out, you've got to get that review video out as well. Couldn't take the time to do what I'm doing now, which is simply to wander around, enjoying the environment, and just take on those interesting little side missions that give the game its character. And I can't lie, it's great walking around London. Doesn't Does it reach the heights of Cyberpunk 2077 in types of immersion? I think it gets pretty close, actually. I think it gets pretty close. Doesn't look as jaw-droppingly beautiful as Cyberpunk 2077, but at night when you've got the neon lights of Piccadilly Circus and things like that, it does look very, very impressive indeed. And hopefully in this video, you're getting an idea of how good this game looks. In fact, the only thing that I pick up that doesn't look good is the River Thames. Kind of looks a bit low res. I don't know, I'm not quite sure why that is. So, if you're into your open world games, or even if you're not into your open world games, but you've got a little bit of time in your schedule for like a nice single player adventure, definitely check out Watchdogs Legion if you see it going cheap. Don't play full price, but if you see it going for a tenner or less, definitely pick it up. It is a great experience. If you're British or English or a Londoner and want to have an adventure wandering around London town, then this is definitely for you, because you'll recognise lots of the landmarks. It's kind of all squashed together a little bit, but it feels great, looks great, sounds great, and the ability to change between different characters that have different abilities and different weapons is very, very, very cool indeed, and I've enjoyed it lots and lots, and I'm keen to play more. So anyway, there we go. Watchdogs Legion. Definitely, absolutely worth buying cheap. What do you think though? Put your questions and comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe. And I will, of course, see you again soon. Yes.